Hello, dear viewers. Thank you for joining us for our newest episode. Learn TV team has prepared for you another new topic from the world of training. I am Drena, and I will be hosting the show together with Nicola.
Hello, and thank you for being with us again. The discussion this time will be about gamification of training. Today we are welcoming two new guests who will share their knowledge on the topic.
They are Ilche Endekovski, who is the corporate trainer with LEORON Institute, and later via direct call we will welcome James Micklethwait, the president of Kahoot. Ilche, it's a pleasure to welcome you in our show. Thank you.
Thank you, Drena. Pleasure to be here.
We would like to start by asking what actually is gamification?
Nicola, gamification is defined as applying and incorporating gaming elements and mechanisms to a non-gaming environment, such as, in our case, that would be the learning and development or the training. So the idea with applying these gaming elements and mechanisms would be to increase participants' engagement, to increase their loyalty, to increase the motivation, and to increase, of course, the level of happiness throughout the L&D process or throughout the training program. Now, we're talking here about applying or approach of training which incorporates gaming elements. These elements would be quizzes, quest stories, brainstorming activities, exercises, case studies, word clouds, or any type of exercise or activity where participants would gain certain points, badges, or rewards, would climb up the leaderboard based on some positive actions and positive responses.
Ilche, how can gamification be effective in training?
Yes, well, since I joined the education industry about 15 years ago, there have been different discussions and tries on how to improve training by involving gamification methods and elements. Practically, the idea here is mainly to engage or to increase the engagement of the participants into the L&D process by introduction of gaming elements and methods. And we're not only talking about increasing of engagement or involvement of the participants. Gamification in training is also backed up by science. Practically, there are three hormones which kind of are related with the gamification process in the L&D. The first one is the dopamine, also known as a feel-good hormone, which practically gets released when participants get kind of certain rewards or points for some kind of positive actions. The second one is serotonin, which is linked to improving the mood levels of the participants. So, for instance, in training, when we have some kind of a game-based element where participants get rewards, this hormone gets unleashed to a certain extent. And the last one is endorphins, which practically will keep the learners hooked to the training experience and will keep the levels, the engagement levels and the competitive spirit high throughout the training. Now, additionally, gamification enables and reinforces proactive behaviors. What does that mean? That means that, for example, when participants get certain points or rewards or badges for some kind of positive behaviors or actions throughout the training, they get a deeper level of gratification. So, based on that, they tend to repeat these positive behaviors and positive actions throughout the whole process of training, which is practically, in our case, the training course. Additionally, we'll know how tests and assessments can be stressful for majority of learners, right? Now, imagine if we can transform these formal tests and assessments into somehow gamified quizzes. This will practically decrease the stress levels with the learners. At the same time, it will give the instructors and the teachers direct insights into the progress that the participants are making throughout the L&D or throughout the education process, throughout the course, even at shorter intervals. So, for example, instead of waiting until the end of the course to measure the progress that the participants are making, we can get these insights throughout the whole training program, which will definitely give the instructor or the teacher a chance for timely improvements and amendments to the training course. Last but not least, we are all aware of the learning model, which is 70-20-10, where 90% of all the adults learners learn takes place outside of the formal training environment. Now, imagine if we can practically combine gamification and social learning. We are creating a kind of an environment where informal learning can flourish.
So to sum up here, what are the benefits of gamification in training?
Nicola, I think I've mentioned a few times about the benefits of gamification in training, but definitely I would have to emphasize that one of the biggest values that learners would get is the engagement part, or the increased engagement. One of the biggest challenges that all of the L&D professionals face, and I'm pretty sure that most of my colleagues will agree on this, is that especially nowadays in COVID-19, where majority of the L&D takes place online or as a self-paced study, one of the biggest challenges they face is the engagement from the participants. I mean, when you're in a classroom with the audience in front of you, you have full control of what's going on, and you can practically measure and monitor their engagement. Whereas now, in an online environment, they have the chance to practically kind of hide behind a closed camera, and the instructors or the teachers have no full control over what's going on. So practically the engagement level as well as the motivation level drops in such situations. By introducing this kind of gaming elements and mechanisms such as quizzes, activities, quest stories, brainstorming activities, and so on, we tend to engage the participants throughout the whole course and keep the interactiveness high. Moreover, as I said, we have the increased happiness, we have the increased loyalty, and of course, one of the biggest benefits, which actually has value for both the learners and the instructors, is that it gives opportunities for shorter feedback cycles, which means, as I previously said, the instructor can measure the progress the audience is making at a shorter intervals. We don't have to wait until the end of the course to see how much the learners have learned and how much progress have they made. This way, we can make timely amendments, we can react upon their reactions, so we can make the training program more valuable for themselves.
Ilche, LEORON has officially started implementing gamification in deliveries. Can you tell us something about it?
Drena, LEORON has implemented or tried to implement gamification since I actually joined the organization somewhere at the beginnings 10 years ago, where I remember we have tried to kind of implement certain kind of game simulations to sales management training courses. However, several years ago, by chance, I would say, we kind of came across one platform for gamification in learning, which we have been experimenting with or trying over the last several years. And finally, I'm really honored to announce that just recently we managed to strike an official partnership with Kahoot, which is the world's largest gamification platform for learning. But I would leave the details to our guest, James.
And now it's time to connect with our second guest. James, can you hear us?
I can, yeah. Hello, great to be with you.
Can you tell us more on the same question?
Yeah, about Kahoot. Kahoot is a game-based learning platform. And what that means is that Kahoot is a tool that allows anybody to create really engaging learning experiences in just a matter of minutes. It's used all around the world in a range of different settings right now, both in formal learning settings, so in school classrooms, in higher education, and in corporate learning training sessions, and also in more informal knowledge sharing sessions at work as well. So it's used for presentations, to make presentations engaging and interactive, and also for events, be that internal events or external events. So that's kind of what Kahoot is. To try and describe it, I mean, first thing I would say to all your viewers is to give it a go, because it's quite hard to explain it without actually experiencing it. But essentially, the way the product actually works is it turns the trainer or the presenter into something of a TV game show host. You create a multiple choice quiz with the content that you want, And then you present that quiz live, and a number of participants use a mobile device to pin into the session. And you then have a very engaging experience that is competitive. It's done in a group. And crucially, as Ilche said earlier, it also provides in real time a whole bunch of data about how the group is getting the questions right or wrong, so that the trainer or presenter can adjust their instruction in real time. So that's Kahoot.
James, this cloud-based tool makes a very useful way to bring learning online without compromising, but actually enhancing teaching. There is a wide variety of features that Kahoot offers. What are the best Kahoot features?
That's a great question. Yeah, and you're right, there are so many features now on the Kahoot platform that it's really evolved over time. What began, as I mentioned earlier, as a relatively simple multiple choice quiz, always experienced in a live real-time setting, has evolved significantly. So now it's possible to import your existing PowerPoint slides and then add questions and interactivity to those. In addition, there are a range of discussion question types, word clouds, brainstorms, so you can actually give your audience a voice and collect their ideas, as well as ask them questions about content as well. And we've actually also significantly developed the asynchronous offering for Kahoot as well. So it's possible to assign a Kahoot to a learner as you would a training session by sending them a link or a PIN code, and then they can complete the Kahoot session in their own time, and still as part of a group experience. You can even create courses now of Kahoots that include other content, not just Kahoot, so presentations, for example, and Kahoots as well. So there's a whole raft of features. What are the best features? It's very hard to answer that one. For maximum engagement, if that's what you're looking for, there's no question that the multiple choice quiz experienced live in a group setting, that's what delivers the most engagement. But for me personally, I think it's not a single feature that I think is the best about Kahoot. It's the combination. It's the fact you can combine slides and presentations with discussion features and quiz questions that both reinforce the learning and also give that real-time feedback. That is what I think is the best feature, is the combination of these things all together.
How is it designed for the user interface and user experience?
Yeah, great question. We at Kahoot, the team really obsesses with simplicity. The user experience, we design very much first and foremost with the learner in mind. Of course, we care a lot about the trainer and the presenter as well, but we design with the learner in mind. And one example of how we try to make the user experience as frictionless and as easy as possible is that as a learner or a participant, you don't even need a Kahoot account to participate. You open up a browser, you go to the Kahoot website, you type in a PIN number, and you're straight into the Kahoot session. So it's very, very simple to use. And we try to extend that principle of simplicity and ease of use to the presenter and the trainer as well. As I mentioned earlier, you can create a Kahoot, as we call it, in minutes. And you can reuse your existing slide content to make that even easier as well. So I'd say first and foremost, we try to make the user experience very simple, as well as, of course, engaging. That is why everybody uses Kahoot all around the world today.
James, last but not least, what makes Kahoot so unique?
Well, that one is quite an easy question to answer because it is genuinely a unique product. And there is no other product that I'm aware of, at least, and I've worked at Kahoot now for about 5 years, that's quite like Kahoot. Let me try and explain how exactly Kahoot is unique. I think first and foremost, Kahoot is the core Kahoot experience, as I've mentioned a few times, is experienced live. That's unusual for learning products. Most learning management systems and learning experiences today are experienced asynchronously. And we believe actually that, again, it's the power of having both live and asynchronous, which you can do with Kahoot, that's most interesting. But what makes Kahoot unique is that we have a learning experience that's live. And the product, actually, I would describe it. I've worked for a number of years in the television industry. Kahoot sits right at the intersection of entertainment and education. And I think that's a very interesting space to be because it's live. That makes it a very, very unique product. In addition, Kahoot's a group experience. Again, many learning products you'll find on the marketplace, it's a very individual learning experience. Again, we're not saying that's not valuable, but what makes Kahoot different is you experience the learning together, and that's quite a unique experience. And finally, it's also, I've mentioned the ease of use in one of the earlier questions. Anybody can create content using Kahoot. And so again, that makes Kahoot quite different from a normal learning management system, where usually it's a handful of people inside an organization who are creating training content and then delivering that to everyone else. What Kahoot is all about is something that we call collaborative learning. Anybody inside an organization can create and deliver engaging training or knowledge sharing experiences in minutes. So you can get everybody involved and build a culture of learning with Kahoot. And that we also feel is unique.
Ilche, can you give a final word of recommendation?
Nicola, to all my L&D colleagues out there, and clients and partners or organizations looking to improve the L&D process or the training programs they're organizing by introducing some kind of gamification methods, I have a recommendation that whatever gamification methods are being introduced, to make sure that these elements, these methods are aligned with the L&D objectives and the business objectives. What do I mean by this? In my experience over these more than 10 years managing adult education, I've experienced training programs where gamification elements have been introduced just for the sake of introducing them. The idea with the introduction of gamification elements and methods is to solidify the knowledge gained and shared throughout the course. So you cannot fix a bad product, you cannot fix a bad presentation or a bad training content by introducing gamification methods. Gamification methods should only be used to engage the audience, but as a complementary tool which will solidify the knowledge gained throughout the training program.
Ilche, James, thank you for being part of our show.
Pleasure was mine.
It was a great pleasure to have both of you in Learn TV.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for staying with us. You can tune in for viewing more live stream on LinkedIn or recorded sessions on our YouTube channel.
If there is anything you deem important, we're very thrilled to learn about it. Just drop us a message and we will review it with our team. Until next time, stay tuned.